Hey guys, how's it going? Connor today at etrailer.com. We're going to be taking a look at the Timbren Active Off-Road Bump Stops here for our 2020 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. So to simulate some of the benefits we're going to get of these active off-road bump stops, we're going to go ahead and take our Jeep here through our test course with our factory Jounce springs. The test course we're going to be using is our speed bump course, which is going to simulate off-roading. So we're going to go ahead and go through that now. Pick up some speed. We can definitely feel the jolt in the axle as soon as the Jounce spring engages. So now with our Timbren Active Off-Road Bump Stops installed, we're going to go back over this same test course that we did earlier to show you the difference. So yeah, right away, once we do feel that axle engage, it's not nearly as much of a jolt as it was with our factory Jounce springs, so we know they're doing their job. So our Timbren Active Off-Road Bump Stops here are going to be an excellent option for a Jeep. As the name states, they're going to be more geared for people who are going to be driving off-road with their Jeep. Just to show you a comparison of the factory Jounce spring in comparison to our Timbren spring, they both have a similar profile. So as stated, our Jounce springs here are going to be similar in size. And basically what this allows is you're still going to have the full axle travel range as you would have with the factory Jounce springs. However, the difference comes into play in regards to the hardness of the Jounce springs itself. The Timbren Jounce springs actually have a progressive spring rate. And what this essentially means is you're not going to have the full force of the spring whenever the axle does meet the Jounce bumper here. It's going to be a softer cushion at first, and then it's going to progress into a more stiff and firmer ride. So another benefit we have of our Timbren Jounce springs here is they're going to be made of a natural rubber material as opposed to our factory bump stops, which are usually a synthetic rubber. It's going to last a lot longer and they're going to be more durable. So keep in mind, a popular add-on, an aftermarket add-on to our Jeeps here are lift kits. If you do have your Jeep lifted, you're going to want to purchase some spacers designed specifically for these Timbren kits here at etrailer.com, because keep in mind they do not come with. You're going to want to match the height of the spacers equal to the lift on your Jeep. So in regards to installation, this is something that's pretty simple, very straightforward, and definitely something you could do at home by yourself. You don't need any special tools, however, you will need some jack stands as well as a floor jack, and maybe some spare pieces of lumber. Now that we've gone over some of the benefits and features, let's jump right in and show you how easy these are to install yourself. So to start our installation today, we need to raise our vehicle by the frame so our axle hangs freely. In order to do this, most likely you're going to need a set of jack stands and a floor jack. We're going to want to place the jack stands under the frame. We don't need the axle hanging down entirely, but we do need to increase the distance between the axle and our frame here, which is what we're going to do by placing the floor jacks under the frame of the vehicle. So once we have the rear axle hanging down, we can go ahead and take a lubricant here. We're just using a general purpose lubricant. We're going to spray our bump stops here because those are going to have to come out. So in order to get our existing Jounce stop out of the Jounce cup here, we're going to be using a series of pry tools. What we're going to do is we're going to try our best to get in there and try to pry down the lip from that top seal there. So we may need more than one pry tool in order to get it out. As you can see here, once we get that down, there we go. So now that we have one of our Jounce springs out, we're going to go ahead and repeat this process on the other side of the vehicle. Keep in mind the driver's side, you do have a little bit less space, so it may be more difficult, but essentially we're just going to need two pry tools to try to pry this outer ring here out of the Jounce spring cup. As you can see here, we have a similar to ring, which is going to go up into the cup, similar to the factory one. So what we're going to do is we're just going to spray the outside of this rubber ring here, so it's a little bit easier to slip into place. Now the instructions call for us to press the Timbren spring into our factory Jounce cup here and turn it slowly in place to get it to lock in. However, I went ahead and already tried this for you and it's not really possible. It just takes too much force to get inside that Jounce cup here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a 4x4, a block of wood. If you have a 2x4 at home as well, that would work. We're going to loosely place the Timbren up in the place on the vehicle, and then we're going to try as best we can to wedge our 4x4 in there. And then what we're going to do is, once we have a hold of the Jounce spring here, we have it lined up with a cup as best we can, we're going to try to pry down on the other end of our lumber here to try to seat the Jounce bumper in place on the vehicle. So it looks like we have most of the Jounce spring in the cup here. However, it's not quite seated fully. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to leave our block of wood in place here. And we're going to take the jack stands off the vehicle to hopefully compress the Jounce stop here into the block of wood, which is going to press that spacer up into the cup. So as you can see there, the Jounce spring is starting to compress, and it's starting to go in its home a little bit better. So that looks like it's in the rest of the way. So now we can go ahead and raise the vehicle back up in the air and take our block of wood out. So now that we have this side finished up, we can't see any more of the existing spacer there because it's now seated, it's inside the Jounce cup. We can go ahead and repeat this process on the other side of the vehicle. So once we have our new bump stops installed, that's going to do it today for the look at the Timbren Active Off-Road bump stops here for our 2020 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited.